So once again, welcome to the Unshakable Foundation meeting of Cocaine Anonymous. This is a main share meeting, and today it's with great pleasure and lots of gratitude that we welcome Beth E, who's come to share on the topic of old ideas and beliefs. The result was nil until we let go absolutely for up to 40 minutes, after which we'll open up for the Q&A portion of the meeting. So with that, Beth, it's over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Isaac. And hi, everyone. I'm Beth. I'm an alcoholic and a recovered cocaine addict. So it's customary where I'm from to give you my statistics before I start. A loving God that I didn't want, didn't think that I needed, got me sober, clean and sober on August 1st of 2017. I have a home group. That home group is By the Book. It's located in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey. If you're not sure where that is, I'm sure everyone can find Wall Street in New York City. Draw a straight line down through the water and you will find my sleepy little shore town of Atlantic Highlands. I have a sponsor. She knows she's my sponsor. She's not a sponsor in name only. I also have a service sponsor for the love of AA. Sometimes you really bug me, but I want this program to exist for the children that are yet unborn to come here. So I chose this topic, old ideas and beliefs. The result was nil until we let go absolutely, because it's something that comes up often for me. So old ideas and beliefs for me, I got them socially. I got them culturally. I got them from my family of origin. And I'm sure that there's a few that I have developed over time. And what these old ideas and beliefs are for me, that they're actually stories or rules, aka expectations of the ego, or what we call the bondage of self. And they use them, or I rely on them when I'm in self-reliance, because I believe the lie of the bondage of self, the ego, that they're going to make me feel safe, or what I call special. And what I mean by special is I love to have a little self-righteousness, right? I'm special. I know more than that person. We all go to meetings. We all hear people say anonymity wrong, and we all hear the three people that have to chime in and correct them. That would be, I know better than you. I need to straighten this out. I need to be in control, but I really need to let everybody else know how smart I am, because underneath there is that old idea and belief that I'm not respected, loved, and valued enough. So I must become something other than I am to try to prove that to the rest of the world. And that's why in the first bedevilment, it actually talks about having trouble with personal relationships. If you were wrong, I was going to tell you all about it. Why? Because I'm insecure. I'm an egomaniac with an inferiority complex, but somehow by telling you where you're wrong, I lift myself up because I've now labeled myself as special. I know it's right, and I'm going to tell you all about it. So when we talk about these old ideas and beliefs, a lot of the stuff is actually in We Agnostics, which we would tie together with step 2. So I'm going to read a little bit from the bottom of page 47 in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. It says, besides a seeming inability to accept much on faith, and when we see that word seeming, that seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, right? It seems like it's a hopeless state. But all this seemingly that Bill talks about in the Big Book, it only seems that way. Why? Because I'm caught up in the bondage of self. I'm caught up in these old ideas and beliefs. I'm caught up in this self-reliance where I got to rely on me to figure all this out. So it says, besides a seeming inability to accept much on faith, we often found ourselves handy obstinacy, sensitiveness, and unreasoning prejudice. The Big Book is going to ask me to let go of this obstinacy, my closed-mindedness, right? I have a lot of old ideas and beliefs. So when you say something that isn't in harmony with what I think or I believe, I get closed-minded real quick, right? Somebody expresses an opinion, and I will give you a running stream of my thoughts if I have an opposite opinion. Because I have an old idea and belief that somehow my ideas are superior to your ideas. Or you need to hear all about my ideas because I don't like yours. And so a lot of these old ideas and beliefs, the result was nil until we let go absolutely. I'm not in harmony in the world. Our Big Book asked me, am I a producer of confusion or am I a producer of harmony. Most of the time, I like to be a producer of confusion, right? I will give you a big, long rationalization and justification on why I need to tell you no to something, because I want everybody to be pleased with me. So I can't just say no, period. I gotta tell you the 5 reasons why I have to say no behind it so that you know that I'm good. Because underneath is the old idea and belief that I'm not good enough. There's hundreds of old ideas and beliefs. I tend to default to some of the same ones over and over and over again, which is why I need God to revolutionary change these things in me, because I've inherited them, like I said, socially, culturally, my family of origin. I'm not going to change these things. And the big book tells me that I need to have a psychic change or a vital spiritual experience. Because these things are embedded in me, these old ideas and beliefs. They're self-defeating beliefs. Our big book says they're the common manifestations of self. And when coupled with my self-reliance, my self-importance, my bravado, I'm going to figure this out. I got this, right? I unleash these defects or defenses or what I call defaults. My defects of character, I don't like to say that I have defects of character because I've learned the truth about who I am. And the truth is I can behave selfishly, but I am not selfish and self-centered. I can behave that way. And I want to change that language to say that I can behave that way because I've always running around identifying with what a piece of crap I was. Right? I'm a cocaine addict. I could do nothing right. I've been probation officers. My family hated me, right? Arrested millions of times. Right? I come in here with these old ideas and beliefs that have been ingrained in me that I'm just a piece of crap. And so I like to say I behave selfish, self-centeredly because I've also gotten down to the root causes and conditions, as it says in the 4th step. And I look at these old ideas and beliefs. When I came in here, it says a solid self-appraisal is not enough. When I came in here and you told me that I had an inferiority complex, I was like, no, I don't. And the reason why no, I don't is because I've been living on the page, I think it's page 73, into action. More than most people, I lead a double life. I'm very much like the actor. To the outer world, I present my stage character. This is the one I like my fellows to see. I want to enjoy a certain reputation, but know in my heart I don't deserve it. See, I've been walking around with a mask all my life. I want to make everything look okay on the outside, and I don't even really know that I'm hurting on the inside. I don't know that there's this soul sickness in me, this spiritual malady. I could have never put words with that. I've just walked around my entire life playing a victim to you because it's much easier to play the victim than actually look at what's going on inside. The big book tells me all of my problems are of my own making, but I don't think so. You're the problem. I've walked around complaining. Complaining is making myself a victim. I complain about the weather. I'm a victim. My sponsor says to me all the time, I can be a victim or I can be victorious, but I can't be both. So these old ideas and beliefs. So I'm the actor. I want to enjoy a certain reputation. When we were coming back to meetings from COVID, I ran into my grand sponsor at one of my meetings and she says, where have you been? Oh, well, I've been working another 12-step program because I had a lot of time on my hands. And she said to me, you don't have to do that. You just need to be in the back chapters. 2 wives, family afterwards, 2 employers. The answers are there. And what I did is I abandoned myself to be agreeable. AKA, I have an old idea that it's not safe to be me. So I have to become something other than I am to enjoy a certain reputation to make everyone else happy with me. When the truth is I absolutely wanted to keep doing what I was doing. I was enjoying it. But I became agreeable with her in that moment. Because I self-abandon all the time because I forget who God made me to be. So I'm constantly looking at these old ideas and beliefs. I've got tons of them. I mean, they're the same stuff that comes up. It's not safe to be me. It's not safe to speak my truth with that grand sponsor. I'm always last or left out. Ever get that feeling when you're getting picked for a sport in, elementary school and you're always the last one? It's not good to be too outgoing, or it's not good to be too quiet when I'm with people. I'm unworthy of love or I'm unlovable. Now, again, these aren't things that I think consciously, and I'm going to share some inventory with you that shows how I get to this stuff where I go, oh, there it is. I'm alone and no one cares. Think about my self-pity. Boy, I can have a good think. If no one will listen to my victimhood story about what happened to me, I can come home and sit on my couch for 3 hours and tell myself the same scary, sad movie to myself over and over and over again. I must obey or suffer. That was a big one with me or God. Others' needs are more important than mine. Or a big one in my life, life's not fair. These old ideas and beliefs, they bring about my thinking, my feeling, and therefore my actions, aka I unleash these millions of defects of character or defenses or defaults onto you because of these things that I believe, these old ideas. And the big book tells me I have to discard these old ideas for new ones. On page 52, I love these bedevilments. This is this spiritual plaque that builds up in sobriety. So my little 8 years of sober, I'm still watching out for these things. It says we were having trouble with personal relationships. I don't have relationships. I have reactionships. You say something, I'm reacting. Because again, if you aren't in harmony with what I think, I begin to think that my opinions and advice are optimal and you need to hear it. And these are the things that block off that channel from God. It says we couldn't control our emotional natures. Well, I can have lots of ups and downs in sobriety if I'm not staying connected and keeping that channel clear to God. I've learned I'm never upset for the reason why I think. The reason why I'm upset is because of my own judgments, preferences, and opinions. If I never had a judgment, preference, or opinion, you would never bug me. So getting back to that line on page 47 or now on 48, obstinacy, my closed-minded, my stubbornness. I just want to think the way I think and you're wrong. My sensitiveness. I never thought I was sensitive, but my behavior shows I'm sensitive. These explosions and reactions on you are because I'm a sensitive alcoholic. It tells me in step 11, we are sensitive people. And then unreasoning prejudice, right? That's my opinions. I got a lot of opinions and I used to share them with other people. And my sponsor said, no, be reluctant to give advice or to give opinions. Why? Because the reason why I give advice or opinions is I believe that my stuff is optimal, so you need to hear what I think. Well, you know what? When other people give me advice and opinions that I didn't ask for, again, I feel the hair stand up on the back of my neck because I'm a sensitive alcoholic, and I begin to think that you know better than me. And we learn in this program to allow people to have their own natural consequences. We love them where they're at, right? But sometimes we have to stand out of the way of people hitting bottoms. That's why it's so important that I stay right-sized in this program, and when I share, I keep things in the I. Because when you say to, hey, Beth, you need to, you should, right? I am a defiant alcoholic cocaine addict. I don't need to do anything that you're telling me, right? That so-called characteristics by Dr. Harry Tiebel says the alcoholic is a narcissistic, egocentric core. I'm omnipotent. I don't need God. I am my own God. I'm going to straighten you out. I don't like what you're saying to me. I'm going to let you know all about it. Or I'm going to go sit on my couch in silent scorn and not say anything. So these old ideas and beliefs, they close this channel off from God. And then I muck up the channel with my defects of character, my defenses, such as impatience, taking things personally, right? Because I'm so sensitive. It's like if Steven says to me, hey, Beth, I hate your green hair. I'm like, haha, I don't have green hair. But if Isaac says to me, it's been a few months since I've seen you. I think you put on, 10 pounds. See, I'm not affected by the green hair. When Steven says that to me, I laugh. Because I don't believe I have green hair. But if Isaac says about the 10 pounds, see, if I have a belief around body image, I'm going to have an emotional reaction to that because I believe that who I am is based on how I look. I know the truth today, and they say in the society, the truth will set you free. What we do here in Alcoholics Anonymous and in Cocaine Anonymous is we get down to deep down inside every man, woman, and child is the fundamental idea of God. And I go through 4 and 5 and I come out the other side learning about these things that block me off, these manifestations of self. That's a little s self for the bondage of self. There's lots of capital letters in this word, spirit of the universe. When I had a problem with the God idea, my sponsor made me go the first 100 through the 164 again to circle all the different words for the God word, the 3-letter word, so that I could open my mind that it could be whatever I wanted to call it because it was my own conception, which is what I love about this program. So I've been running around with these defects, defenses, defaults of playing the victim and complaining about you and being easily aggravated, aka fear, or getting angry real easily because anger feels like power to me. But anger is always fear, but who wants to look at the fear? Let's bypass that and let me just be the victim to you because it's much easier than to look inside at what's going on inside me, where I'm making demands on you, where these old ideas and beliefs keep reappearing in my life, because most of them are the same things that just, they wear different colored shirts that I don't even notice them. I recently lost my job. I'm not going to get into the victimhood of what happened, but I will say that morally and ethically it wasn't handled appropriately. But again, there's that old idea that life's not fair. And the truth is, it's not fair. But I've been given a God bigger than my feelings, bigger than my situation that I've learned to rely on. It doesn't always mean that it feels comfortable and amazing and wonderful because that's what I really want. I want to avoid pain. I want to avoid discomfort. And what I learn is that I'm going to survive that. See, I drank because I just didn't know how to deal with life. Today I get a God big enough that helps me and gives me the strength, power, and direction I need to deal with life. But ego, aka bondage of self, I dumb it down real simply. Whenever I'm in this triangle, the ego's trilogy, fear, anger, guilt. Whenever I am in either of these 3 sides of this fear, anger, or guilt, that's the bondage of self, aka ego. When I react from fear, anger, or guilt, what I do is I produce more fear, anger, and guilt. And so I've learned to zip it when I feel that. Not all the time, because I'm still perfectly human and I'm not a saint. But it's in those moments that sometimes when I'm able to zip it, pause when agitated or doubtful, I realize the discomfort of sitting with what's going on inside of me 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever time it takes for that little snow globe of mine to settle down. That the ego and the discomfort of it is not going to kill me, but it's uncomfortable because ego likes to react right away. So ego likes to punish, guilt, and cause fear when I lost this job. And so I started walking around my first couple of days going, oh my God, I'm unemployed. And ego loved the word unemployed because I look at this stuff when I get down in inventory and I begin to see there's a certain energy and connotation that's supporting those old ideas and beliefs behind it. Some of those old ideas and beliefs behind it is that because now I'm unemployed, it makes it sound permanent as if I've been branded a failure. That's the story. The ego is always showing up with its stories that I used to believe all the time. It's like I've always had the angel and the devil on my shoulder, but the devil, the ego standing in front of me was constantly bullying me and screaming at me, and its voice was so loud. And then there was that quiet whisper of God, the angel on my shoulder. But the ego was so strong, alive, and well in me that I never wanted to listen to the small, peaceful, quiet voice, aka God. So the ego begins telling me a really scary movie all about me, because that's what we do in this program. Everything in the selfish, self-centeredness is all about me. And it says I've lost my value and my worth because I was let go. Now, I know that that's insane externally when I say that to you, but I start behaving that way, as if I've lost my worth and my value, as if a job defines me. It starts to guilt me with the shoulds. I like to say that old ideas and beliefs, they're, whenever I have shoulds in my life, shoulds, I should, they should, the world should. Not only is it where I've been playing God, but they're also emotionally charged old ideas. So this guilt of the shoulds. I should have prevented this. I should have seen it coming. I should already be on to the next job. It's this voice, this bondage, this talks to me, makes everything all about me, 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 me. It kicks up fear. Fear of judgment from people around me. Oh, she lost her job. Fear of financials. How long am I going to be able to do this? When the truth is, the program has taught me to have a prudent reserve today. Thank God I'm able to bring in those spiritual principles from the traditions into my life when actually I don't have anything to worry about for quite a bit of time. But I can't see truth when that snow globe is all stirred up in these emotions and I'm believing the lie. Bill talks about these illusions and delusions all throughout his story. The first 8 pages of Bill's story are about, I'm going to figure this out. I got this and I know what I need to do. But then he goes on and he has this spiritual experience where he allows God to enter through him. So I get to look at this stuff and see what the fear, shame, and guilt is, that triangle, that trilogy of these old ideas and beliefs that I am what I do. Which is not true. I am who I am because of who God made me to be. God has given me gifts, talents, and abilities. One of them is a very good work ethic. Just because I am let go does not define my value or my identity, but I can believe that lie still today. This is why I look at the old ideas and beliefs. This is why I put down in 4 and 5 to see what's blocking off that channel. To see that because I lost my job, it's not a verdict or a branding. It's not unfair. It's unfortunate. But I have to get real clear on this stuff. So I end up, before I even lost my job, there was a lot of chaos going on. It was not a healthy environment. They actually did me a blessing, but when I'm in it, I can't see it. So I write inventory on this woman, Alicia. I tried to get clarity on a project that I was working on for her. I had a couple questions for her. I went into her office when she had time for me, and I asked them, and what I got was a second helping of condescension. The hair goes on fire. But I sit down and I write inventory and I begin to see the old ideas and beliefs. The result was nil, that are blocking me from seeing her as anything but somebody who's giving me a second helping of condescension, because I'm the victim when I'm saying that. And I look at my self-esteem, how I see or feel about myself, which actually I think we say that we have low self-esteem, but boy, I act like I am somebody. I'm someone who works hard and tries to get things right. So she should, which brings me to pride. Others should see I'm trying. Others should recognize their part in what's going on in this situation. Right? These are the demands that I'm making on everybody else to make me feel amazing and okay about myself. And that's not what life is about. You're not here and put on this earth to make Beth feel okay and amazing. But I've been making those demands on you. Underneath this stuff, as I look at my self-esteem, when I think I have great work. She's not seen it. Oh. Well, you know what? The fear is that I'm not enough and I'm not respected. My pride. She should see how hard I'm trying. I am a good worker. Underneath that are old ideas that I'm not competent, that I'm somehow, because I had to go ask her a question, that I deserve to get that second helping. These are the lies that ego shows up with. Security, what I need to be okay here. Well, I need clear and helpful communication from Alicia so that I feel grounded. And when I'm not getting that, then I'm going to feel unsafe and I'm going to feel alone. So again, I'm alone. No one cares. There's an old idea and belief, right? I'm not smart enough. I'm not enough. I got a second helping of condescension. There must be something wrong with me. These are the old ideas and beliefs that I could have never put into words until I'm in this program, continually peeling the onion back. And when I'm 4 and 5, it was like, yeah, I take things personally. Yeah, I'm impatient. Yeah, I'm judgmental. Now it's like, oh my God, these old ideas and beliefs, they're ingrained in me and I can't do anything about them. Only God can. Personal relationships. Oh, ambition, I forgot one. I want her to set me up for success. Yeah, I do. Well, I'm feeling unsupported. So again, there's that old threadbare idea again that I'm alone. I'm not smart enough. Nobody likes me. Nobody cares, right? I'm just singing the self-pity story, blah, 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 playing the victim to Alicia again because she ain't hitting her mark. She doesn't know what her lines are and interact with me. Personal relationships, these deep-seated beliefs on how I think things should be. There's my shoulds again, right? Well, coworkers should guide, not shame. Well, the fear is that I'm not worthy of support and I'm not feeling like I'm belonging here. So again, there's all these demands again that I'm not enough, that I'm not worthy of getting some help from her. It's absolutely insane. Sex relationships, my deep-seated beliefs about how a real man or a real woman should be. Well, a real woman is helpful, not hurtful. I can't get the rest of the world to get on my script and make me feel amazing and okay all again. I may believe that a real woman is helpful and not hurtful, but have I been hurtful before? Absolutely. But you know what? I don't let anybody else off the hook. Because it's all about me. The fear is that I'm actually alone again. So I get to see how this alone, incompetent, stupid, not enough, these old ideas and beliefs, they're just the same. And then I look at self-seeking. I let her tone define my worth. I've been walking around letting everybody else be the arbiter of my value. Here you go, Celine. You can have more power over my mind and my emotions than I have. You get in front of me, you drive slower, and I got someplace to go. I'm going to be pissed off at you. You're not asking for that kind of power over me, but here you go. Here you go. I'm going to be the victim to you. I don't even know you, but I'm going to be the victim. I'm going to allow you, Alicia, to define my worth because I want validation. Because the ego got bruised, and the ego doesn't like feeling that way. Selfish. What was my selfish thinking? Well, I want her to change so I don't feel so bad. See, I've been walking around making everybody else walk on eggshells around me because you need to change, I don't. In this program, I get to look at these demands where I play God and see that I'm never going to have true relationships with people as long as I'm seeking you to make me feel good about me. As long as you are the arbiter of my value, Mom, Celine, the guy in front of me driving, there is no God in my life. Dishonest. If she's frustrated and upset, it must mean I'm incompetent. I don't believe that when I'm in it, but when I look at this stuff, I'm like, oh my God. Here I am again, giving everybody else more power over my mind and my emotions than I have. Fear. Well, I'm afraid of rejection, of being unsupported, that her behavior means something about my capabilities. It's like ever been blocked by somebody on Facebook and taking it so personally. Oh, why would they block me? What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? Again, that's just like, here you go, because you blocked me, that must mean something about who I am. What we wake up to in this program is that who I am is defined by a loving God today, not by what my mind tells me, because I am just not in the good judgment of myself. I need a God to judge me, be the judge, jury, and executioner also of you, because I am not very good at that. But like I said, judgments, preferences, opinions, if I never had them, you would never bug me. So I get to look at these old ideas, these beliefs that drive these behaviors, that bring out these character defects, because I believe these illusions and delusions and see that they're just reappearing in different ways. So I got let go from that job and I got a scary movie playing in my head because I'm a grandiose alcoholic who likes to use words like, I'm never going to find another job. I've only been employed at this job for 8 months. Half the people are just going to take a stack of resumes, throw half of them away. And if I happen to pop up on somebody's desk, I know they're going to see 8 months and they're going to throw it in the trash because I'm a mind reader. I'm a psychic. I know. But really, again, that's the bondage of self, ego playing a really scary movie again, and I'm always the star of the scary movie. There's no humility, there's no step 6 in my life to find it objectionable. I'm still clinging to it. I like the scary movie because it's all about me. Then I write this inventory and I begin to see that there is no reliance upon God. It's all self-reliance, and it's just another scary movie that I'm playing where I'm the star in my scary movie. And I don't know. So when I find it objectionable in step 6 and I stop clinging to it, then I have the chance in step 7. Step 6 and 7 isn't something that I say in the morning and just think God's going to let things roll right off my back all day because I said the prayer in the morning. That's not how it works. Step 6 and 7, I have a role and responsibility to look at these things. I become aware of where I default to through 4 and 5. The gift that I get is step 6 in the awareness. The gift that I get is in step 1, I'm powerless, but in step 6, I'm also powerless for the stuff that comes up for me. But I'm not completely powerless in the choices that I get to make of finding it objectionable or not. But I'm not going to do anything about it. I just simply find it objectionable. If I could change me, I would not be wasting my hour with you guys. Trust me. I'd be out there having a lot more fun on my time off. When I find it objectionable, it's about going to God in the moment. In the moment, asking for help from God for a new perspective to help me do, see, act, and feel as God would have me do, see, act, and feel. Because if I come out, it's not going to be pretty. So I ended up getting a new job because I don't know what God's plan is. See, when I lose my job, I want God to light the whole freaking path for me. I'm so emotionally immature that I forget that God only lights my next footstep. And I get this great job, which I'm going to start in 2 weeks, and they send me my title, and I'm director. And you know what ego says is, ooh, you're a director now. And there's that old idea, belief again, that my worth equals my job title. That my worth comes from who I am at work rather than from whose I am through God. Thank God for the awareness. I made a mistake and I missed an interview. I got the times wrong, all the different coasts and everything like that. Ego makes it into a really big deal because I showed up late. The old idea and belief is that if I make a mistake, I must be a mistake. See, the illusions and delusions, the illusion is that if I never make a mistake, I'll be okay. The delusion is that if I never make a mistake, I'll be perfect. I'm always going to be human. The best I'm ever going to get is human, but the best that I'm ever going to get is human doing what our 11 step says, sought to improve my conscious contact with God. I'm not perfect. I don't have to take the bat to myself. I'm not a mistake because I made a mistake, but boy, I can act like it. I am what you think of me. Not true. The truth will set me free. Today, my truth has to be grounded in God. My truth has to be built on this relationship with God so that God can revolutionary change the way I think, feel, and act and feel. Because I am not a self-improvement project. I can't show up being the kind of daughter to my mother who is, borderline personality disorder, OCD, very difficult to be around. I've got to have faith and ask God to help me. To revolutionary change that my mother is not the arbiter of my values. So when my mom calls me a bunch of 4-letter words and tells me I'm a piece of crap who never does anything for her, is that the truth? Am I going to allow my mom to be my higher power, the arbiter of my value, or am I going to believe what God thinks about me? Am I going to go back into these old ideas and beliefs that nothing I ever do is good enough and start singing the self-pity song, or am I going to rely on what God thinks of me? I love Halloween here in the States, and we do a really big display. I mean, we go all out. It's nuts. People from all over come to see us. I got this really expensive latex, crazy looking lady, and she's not working. And I asked my husband if he could look at it. And when he looks at her, he breaks her. And she's really expensive, and he doesn't know how much I spent on her. So I had something to say about that. I was frustrated. And what my husband said to me is he's tired of hearing my mouth. I had an emotional reaction to that because I don't have relationships. I have reactionships. I don't know how to respond with love. At times I do, but I'm still an imperfect human. So when he snapped at me, I swallowed my own frustration and I turned it into, what did I do wrong to make him do that? See, I make everything about me, the old ideas and beliefs that something's wrong with me. If you're displeased with me, something's wrong with me. But I don't think that conceptually. Like I said, I just like to go straight to anger because anger feels like power to me when lack of power is our dilemma. But I'm going to use anger. But I'm really afraid and I got that old idea and belief. See, when I get to step back and look at this stuff and write inventory on it, yeah, he can have his feelings. I don't have to take everything personally. Let him have his feelings. He's a saint. He lets me have mine and doesn't tell me where I'm wrong all the time. Let him have his feelings while I go take mine to God and manage mine with God. The gift that I get by working this program is that I don't have to take myself or you so damn seriously all the time. That true prayer for me isn't what I say in my prayer. It's about what I surrender, my step 6. Give him to God. Give these thoughts, preferences, and opinions about what he just said to God. In the 12 and 12, in step 7, it talks about values all the time. Even our 4 step says we can't fool ourselves to values. I think this is a little bit of different values, but if you were cute, had a job, made me laugh, relationship, I never had values. So when I get into step 7 and I start learning about some of these values, where I allow God to replace this self-will, this self-importance, this desire for self-comfort with these other spiritual principles of honesty, faith, forgiveness, service, humility. I'm in a much better place to have true relationship with God's kids, but the gift that I get is that I stay awake and aware to these old ideas and beliefs that drive and set into trains of circumstances I didn't think I deserved, so that I can write inventory and I can see that, again, I'm always thinking that you need to make me feel okay about me. And I'm asking for the impossible from humans who are fallible. And the only place that I will get unconditional love and get all my needs met, fill the hole in the donut today, is from God, not from my self-reliance and trying to get what I want from you, because it ain't gonna happen. The gift that I get is my fearful, squirmy, old ideas and beliefs and these defects of character that get unleashed on you that I have to make amends for. But I get to write inventory and I get to get real clear on where I was separated from God, so I know where I need to get closer to God. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Hi, Isaac. Michael, recovered addict. Thanks for sharing, and thank you very much, Beth, for your share. So I was slightly distracted, but I was listening. Sorry, there was a bit of a work thing going on. I have a question around, when you find these things you're talking about that are objectionable, like the ego having a problem with it, and the character defects, if you like. Like I've found myself in a situation where I've been quite objectionable, and I've done like everything that the book would tell you to do, whether it be prayer, meditation, discuss with another, go and seek who I can help and make an amends if needs be, and it'll go, and then all of a sudden it comes back again. So then I'd write some inventory and it went, and then it came back again. And it was about 72 hours or something this went on. And it wasn't even that big a deal. Do you know what I mean? But, like you say, the victim or the actor. I don't know really what my question is. My question is, do you have do you ever experience that? And then if you do, what's your go-to move to try? Because eventually it passed and eventually it concluded. And I was like, oh, what did I say in that prayer? Because that must have been the thing. Like, do you have some sort of tactic or something that you could share me?
I got a
Thank you very
couple of
much,
things
Beth.
for you. Yeah.
Really, thank you.
My defects of character don't just get erased. There are some that have been lessened over time. And I think that in the 12 and 12, Bill says, why doesn't God strike me white as snow? I think, and this is just my opinion, but if God struck me white as snow, or I just never did these things again, then I'd have no reason to keep seeking God. I think the gift that I get is my humanness, and to realize that God loves me as I am, not as I should be, because none of us are as we should be. And so I just keep seeking. The 6 and 7 for me is more in this moment. These things just keep cropping up. It's like, okay, in this moment, God, I find it objectionable. Help me have a new perspective. Oh, you're going to just zip it, Beth, because you don't want to make an amends. Oh, there it is again. 3.5 seconds later. Okay, God. I mean, sometimes the ego says, oh, you're really working, that's a lot of work today. And that's the delusion of the ego. But it is a constant prayer some days where I'm just like, oh my God, I'm with this person that's driving me nuts. And I'm going to have to keep going back every few seconds or few minutes to ask God for a new perspective so that I don't unleash these things. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Michael, for your question. Babe, would you like to comment?
Oh, I am unmuted. Yeah, I'd like to. You just wouldn't let me. Beth, that was beautiful. You struck everybody speechless. And one thing that, having been around a little while, you can flip it. You can say, have you ever felt like you're resting on your laurels? But more importantly, how is your step 11 and 10 discipline? Do you have one? Has it changed? Have you found things changing? The old ideas from 23 years ago are different than the old ideas that I have today. And it is through this discipline that God keeps remaking me. That's why surprise me, God, every morning. I don't know how I'm going to show up. I live the set aside prayer. Here I am, God, surprise me. But do you have a set discipline for 10 and 11 and 12? And if so, has it changed?
Yeah, absolutely. So 10 is, I guess, I go throughout my day. I'm constantly, doing what the disciplines say, watch, turn, and ask, because like I said, quite often somebody really bugs me. I am still perfectly human. That's the gift that God has given me, to just look at that stuff. Like, especially with the job, like I said, it wasn't handled morally or ethically. Like, have I ceased fighting? Am I going to choose to believe and have faith that God is going to take care of me and cease fighting? Or am I going to go on fight until the end to try to get what I want out of this whole situation? And it's like sometimes I get these intuitive thoughts as a result of staying in 10 to be able to do that. And then what my 11 looks like, upon awakening isn't just about looking at my calendar and what I have on my calendar for the day is showing up at this meeting, right? That's called 101 basic living. It's about looking at what my 11 step nightly inventory questions are, right? Where was I selfish, dishonest, afraid? What did I pack into the stream of life or didn't pack into the stream of life? Because sometimes I don't have a lot to answer at that question, right? What corrective measures do I need to take? Do I need to make an amends? Because these things are indicators of where I was or wasn't connected to God. So upon awakening, I know that if I'm going to be around my husband and he's around the Halloween decorations, I'm going to need more God probably. I know if I'm going to be around my mom, my hair is probably going to go on fire, right? Where am I going to need more God? So that's what upon awakening is based on those 11 step inventory questions. But my disciplines are, I get up in the morning, and I hit my knees every morning and I ask God to keep me sober. And then I ask God to help me surrender what I'm going to need to surrender to today so that I stop objecting to reality because, man, I'm still going to, but it's just about building that relationship as having that conversation with God. And then meditation, like watching all this craziness. I think newcomers don't like to meditate, or I didn't like to meditate as a newcomer because it was so painful how much stuff I had going on in here. And to realize that my thoughts are like birds flying over my house. There's like so many of them a day, but in meditation, I can just be the observer of them instead of the absorber. And that I get to choose which ones I let land and build a nest on my house, right? And I want to choose those ones that will take root and bear good fruit, versus I used to let the ones that were bad take root and bear bad fruit. So it's just really about improving and seeking with that relationship and staying right sized in who God is.
Thank you, babe, for your question. Great to hear you. Danny, you're up next.
Thanks, Isaac. Hi, guys. My name's Danny, I'm an addict. And Beth, thanks so much. Really, really loved it. I loved how you went through your inventory, and I can relate. I can really relate. When you were talking about when we're in the moment and we're going through these challenges and we can't always see, God in it. That's my experience as well. So my question to you really is, when you do go through these adversities and challenges in recovery and in the moment, our mind just doesn't let us see why this is happening for us, not to us. But how has these challenges developed your relationship with God? Thank you.
What a great question. I started to learn more and develop a relationship about how God is gentle, kind, and compassionate with me. So that when I'm in that mindset of, oh my God, what's happening? What's going to happen to me? When I remember that God is gentle, kind, and compassionate with me, ego at best is silly, right? You're an idiot. You should have prevented this. At worst is vicious, right? I have to choose between which voice, right? Our big book says that we trudge on purpose. I have to turn my thoughts to what God thinks about me rather than what I think about me. But to forgive and compassion and gentle with myself, I'm powerless over what goes on in my mind sometimes. It's just like a stir of crazy when stuff hits the fan, right? And to be gentle because God's gentle with me when I'm in it, and know that I will come out the other side, and that ego's just got to have its little tantrum, but don't allow it to do it for like 5 minutes. I'm not allowed to do it for 5 days.
Beautiful. Thank you, Danny. Stephen, you're up next with your question.
Yeah, Steve Addict. So I'm on the step 4 at the moment, and I'm finding it quite fucking difficult. And I've been through it before, but this time seems different. It seems like the awareness is so intense, and this constant loop is driving me fucking insane. Is that a gift from God, or is that just my ego trying to fight with myself? I don't, yeah.
So I'm going to keep it in the I. I had a very similar experience. The common manifestations of self, right? Ego wants to beat the crap out of me when I do my inventory. You're such a piece of crap. Oh my God, you're this. It wants to shame and guilt me. That manifestation of self is more ego. But at the same time, I'm so grateful. I live life forwards, but I understand it backwards. It was uncomfortable. Ego, myself, I just don't like the discomfort. But my sponsor would say to me, the alternative is worse because you're going to drink and drug again. So for me, she made sure that I did a lot of prayer and meditation to try to keep that channel open with God, that the stuff that was coming up for me, which does get stirred off, right? We're looking at some serious stuff here that we never could see, that just when, an ego shows up, of course, because it doesn't want us to do the work. Doesn't want us to come out the other side, right? It would rather have me drugging again than to get better. And that's where I had to kind of keep right-sized on that and know that I live life forwards. I understand it backwards. It's never comfortable when I'm in it. But when I look backwards, boy, I'm so thankful and grateful.
Beautiful. Thank you, Beth, and thank you, Steve, for a great question. Pierce, you're up next.
Thanks, I'm Pierce from Alcoholic. There's just a question for you. Knowing that this is a spiritual program, not a religious one, and it's a simple program for complicated people, and there's a lot of expression of the word God around the room, a lot of expression of that, and having the benefit of taking the steps, and and knowing that the step 2 then is that there's no belief at all in whatsoever, and it's a spiritual belief into a spiritual experience, and the experience is just reality, as we know, nothing more. So knowing that now, that it's just willing to trust to change, that it's inside, it's a connection, where if you could break down the God to us in just a couple of words, and knowing that's not a religious program, it doesn't work with religion under any circumstances, where would you be at with it now to keep it simple?
Absolutely.
And as well, to work in the program the way you're working it and checking in and all that sort of stuff, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much would you work it?
Great questions. I'm not religious at all. So when I say the word God, it does mean that it's a spiritual program, and we can get that spirituality from anywhere. You could be Buddhist, you could be, like Dharma. There's so many different ways. So when I say God, there's 57 people in this room. Hopefully there's 57 different gods in here. And that's what I need to stay open mind to, because my mind gets cut off when somebody says the 3-letter word and it's like, oh my God, That's the guy with the white beard in the sky. And I had to let go of those old ideas and beliefs to be able to form a relationship. And our big book actually gives us spiritual principles that you will find in every other Buddhism, Dharma, whatever, Hinduism. Like, we're all connected based on these spiritual principles, which are eternal and never fail. So I'll give you a couple examples with my sponsor, because I said, I don't know what God does for me. And I didn't really understand spirituality, and I was anti-religion, right? So she had me go through the big book and look at the stuff that God does for me. And I'll just read a few of these because I've got, pages of them. Beth is restored to her right mind. He comes to her when she draws near to him. He discloses himself. Like, do I believe, or am I willing to believe that I'm restored to my right mind? I'm spiritually liberated from this world and I rise above my problems. Like, do I believe that God's making that possible, or do I believe that Beth's making that possible? Am I an employee of an all-powerful God, or am I still being employed by Bad Brad and Connie Conniving Connie? Like, I'm told throughout the big book what these principles of what God does for me, which are simple and not religious. I didn't say anything religious there at all, right? And that's the beauty of why I love this book so much. Beth is convinced that God can remove her self-will that has blocked her off from him. Do I believe that, or I believe in me that I'm going to do it? The way I work this program is, it ebbs and flows, but this is the easier, softer way for me. So I do put in a lot into my recovery in terms of the service that I do. I want to stay on all three sides of the triangle, sponsoring other people, doing the disciplines of 10 and 11 and 12, because the alternative is worse. The mind really starts doing a number on me when I let up on the spiritual program of action. Am I perfect at it? No. Will I ever be perfect at it? Probably not. But I probably do it a lot more than, say, some people in my home group do it. So I give it my all because it does treat the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspect. Hope that helps.
Thank you, Pierce, for your question. Katie, we're almost out of time, but if you want to come in really quickly to ask a question, we can fit you in.
Yeah, sorry, Katie Edits. I will be really quick. It's just a quick question for Beth. Thank you for the meeting. Thank you for everybody's service. Beth, that was amazing. I love the way you spoke on old behaviours. Just a question really about, I've been contemplating recently and meditating a lot around, and you mentioned like your mum, and I'm in a similar situation, and there's certain people now that, I'm into my recovery that kind of disturb my zen. And my question is like, is it okay I found myself kind of not going round to my mum's, as much as I used to, and not, is it okay to do that for self-protection, or is that my ego and kind of running away from the situation, if you know what I mean? Where does it become selfish, or, where's the line between being selfish and actually just protecting my peace?
So I'm going to answer that in my experience, because I can't actually tell you. Mm-hmm. In my experiences, I love my mother as God would have me be, but I don't really love my mother as a daughter. My mom's just not capable of being that. But I show up as God would have me be. But I don't stay till my hair is on fire, and then I'm going to do damage, right? I also when I'm doing damage, I'm not doing God's will. But God does ask me to be the daughter, and I get that strength and direction from him, not me.
Okay. Thank you.